Everyone. Thanks for joining another virtual discussion that is hosted by the Chaldean Cultural Center with collaboration of the University of Michigan Detroit chapter and Unique Voices in Films. Today we have a very special guest that actually visited the museum last October, and we were very pleased that he was able to be here in person because he came all the way from Israel to spread the message of what he's been doing. His name is Dr. Yaacov Maoz, and I learned from him today that the root to that is in Arabic, which is a very prosperous word. So welcome, Dr.
Yeah. Hello, good evening, I would say. This is evening in Jerusalem, so good day or good evening from the holy city of Jerusalem to all of the people that are watching now our interview.
We're very happy to have you because you do tremendous work for your community, and you're particularly interested in preserving the Aramaic language. And what are the projects that you're working on right now to help do that? And actually, before you share that, I would like to know a little bit, how did you come on this path to do that? You said that your parents were born in Iraq?
Right, my parents born in Iraq in two different villages, cities, I don't know what is it. My father born in Dohok, which in Assyrian called Nohadra. I'm a mother of in Zaho. Then they passed to work in Baghdad. So I've got from my childhood two languages, the Suret and the Arabic. And later on, I started to speak Hebrew. So this is the main language of mine, but the first language was Suret and Arabic. Yes, please.
Yes, and so the Surat, you learned that from your parents? They did teach you, right, to pass that on to you?
Well, this was spoken language in my home. So we grew up on Surat.
Okay.
But I must say, in the Jewish dialect, which is a little bit different, okay? So, you know, during the time since I started my initiation, I started to learn, Surat from the Assyrians. And I saw how many differences we have and how many share syntax and words and so on. So in principle, we are coming from the same linguistic root. You know, it's easy to show it. And it is enriching my language when I'm speaking Suret with people that never knew that there are Jewish Assyrians. So it's like a revelation.
Yes, that's the amazing thing. We had somebody visit us recently, visit the museum from California. His name is Roy Kesford, and he was also very surprised that, you know, the existence of the Aramaic language. So he ended up writing a book about preserving the Chaldean Aramaic language. In your case, you said with the Assyrian community, is there a community in Israel, or is that because of how your parents grew up among that community?
Well, we have many Jewish Assyrian communities, many. You know, it's divided somehow like the Assyrian community, like the Assyrian people, the part of the East that is look like more Iranian, in the middle the Iraqi, and in the West the Turkish and the Syrian. So we have also different dialects that it is very hard to communicate with those different dialects, even in our community.
Well, that's interesting you say that because, the Aramaic language, so we're at the Chaldean community, Chaldean Cultural Center, are trying to preserve the Aramaic language as well. And so I had visited with the Holocaust Museum recently, and myself and the librarian were very excited about what we were learning from each other. For instance, I did not know that the Talmud was written in Aramaic, and she did not know that there was a Aramaic speaking community in Michigan. And then, and the fun part was then she ended up looking at an old book that was written in Aramaic. And she said, well, I can make out these letters and I can make out these words, but, and this is what I would like to ask you about, is the Talmud is written in Aramaic, but is it a different type of Aramaic than the kind that is read by the Assyrians and the Chaldeans?
Well, it is. It's like our modern Aramit dialect that is different from the modern Suret. Okay, but we have, the old Aramit, I mean Jewish Aramit, and the new. We have much in common with the Suret and with the old Chaldean Aramaic. Why? I tell you what, my mom came from Zaho, and we spoke the dialect that close to the forget the name where the tomb of Nahum is located. What is the name? The location Alkush. Al-Kushnaya, they speak very similar to us, okay? So so it's come from the history, and we have the whole Jewish culture based on the language of Aramit. As a matter of fact, we have two holy languages. And you know what? The first is Aramit, and the second is Hebrew. But I don't use it because I don't want to many people get upset with me, because I have some. So I call to the Aramit second Jewish language. But keep in mind that our ancestors, the ancient and the modern, came from the same area, and they brought with them the language and the culture. So we are coming from the same roots, and you can read easily Hebrew text and Aramaic text. If I would give you some, basic tools, that's why it is easy to me to read the old Aramaic, the Suret also, okay? The letters, the syntax, the words.
Yes. This is my first introduction to the Jewish community that lived in Iraq was by reading. I was a book reviewer for a magazine, and they would send me anything related to the Middle Eastern community or that was from the Middle East. And I received a book that was called My Father's Paradise that was written by the Ariel Sabar.
And Yonat Sabar, and Ariel is his son. Okay.
It's
Ariel wrote on his father.
Yes. Writes about his father, who was from the same areas that you're talking about with Zaho.
He came from Zaho. Yonat Sabar came from Zaho.
Yes, and then he talks about the experience of his family when they were there, and that, there was the Jewish and the Christian and the Muslim community at a point where, they lived as tribes, they lived peacefully together, and then political things changed, and then they ended up going to Israel. And then he studied or he was born, like you said, I forgot the exact details about the author, whether he teaches Aramaic. And so it's from this book is when I discovered that the Jewish speak Aramaic, and then that is, like you said, their original language.
I'll tell you what, the good news and the bad news with book like this. Okay, the good news that is that somebody is writing about our community. Somebody is researching our community, and it would help us to preserve our culture. But the bad news is pretty bad, because Professor Yonah Tzabar and his son, Ariel Tzabar, the author, called to our community Kurds, okay? And they see no any contradiction between the title Kurds and the language Aramit. And this make me upset, and I must say I'm dedicating much of me to fix this historical mistake, because when my ancestor used to live in the land of Assyria, they didn't call themselves Kurds. They called themselves Judaism, okay? And to the Assyrians or to the Christians, they called Suraye. They called Kurdaye, okay? It was pretty clear difference between the identities. Once we came here in the year of 51, the Israelis that were here in the land of Israel called us Kurds. They labeled us Kurds, and we observed this notion, and it's a big mission now to fix this title. And my problem is not only the title. Once we are considering ourselves as Kurds, we are missing the huge treasure of Aramit, and our language is our identity. And this was the reason how come I got to visit you in your community and other Assyrian community, Chaldean, Assyrian. Every community is welcome, okay? And this is the common ground of us to deal with each other, to rebuild our old world, beautiful world, and to build the future that we have. Okay. Yes.
That was so beautifully said. And, you know, it reminded me when you were saying about how um, when the Jewish arrived to Israel, and then they were considered Kurds based on with the land that they came from. But this is similar to even with regards to the word Iraq. It was changed in 1921 by the British when they occupied Iraq. And so that name change, it disconnects you from your identity. And so you can be reading the Bible, you know, I can go to church and the word Mesopotamia could be brought up 1,000 times and nobody necessarily connects it to Iraq because the name was changed.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, we have. Yes, please. Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying even the people there. So it's not necessarily just the people here. Like I was born in Baghdad, but I didn't know our connection to ancient Mesopotamia because that was not taught in schools. And so I know Chaldean by word, but what does that mean really? It's just, okay, you belong to a group that's Chaldean. I think to me it was associated just with Christianity, which is true, but there is something beyond that. And I was never able to explore that because we're not taught about what Mesopotamia really, what that was and how the name was changed. And then people start forgetting, and it takes a lot of effort to try to search for who you really are, because you start seeing how the names were changed. And I see where you're saying with regards to the Kurds.
Yes, always I'm doing like an analogy. You know, when the Romans destroyed the second temple and took the Jewish people to the exiles, the way they use to erase our identity is to change the name of the land of Israel to Palestine. And you know what? They succeed because this name used for 2,000 years until we get back to our land. Okay, so this is a way to erase identity and to change the names. And you know, when I'm speaking to my friends and others, I don't use anymore the word Kurdistan. I call it, and to Dohok I called Nohadra, and to Mosul I call Nineveh. Okay, what I'm trying here to do here is to get back to the ancient names. This is the way how we need to fix the history, the huge mistake of the history.
Yeah, because we have the tools through storytelling to bring back to life the very stories that were omitted and changed so that we would lose our identity. And that is, I think, that what scholars and educators and writers are able to do in a peaceful way. And, you know, from looking at your bio, I mean, you're involved in quite a few things that for the sake of not only preserving the language, but for the sake of creating peace and unity and for people to work together, including, you know, and this is maybe a larger challenge, but between the Israelis and the Arabs. And what is the participation that you do with that? How can education, the arts, culture, language, how can it help build that kind of a unity? And is it possible to build it through that?
Well, my main goal is to show people from different identities how common ground we have, and you know, how many values that we are sharing together. Okay, and some of them is around the language. Look, you speak Arabic, so if you would speak Hebrew, you can see the triangle of the linguistic triangle: Arabic, Hebrew, and Aramit. Okay, many roots are shared, are the same roots. Okay, so I would start, you know, every meeting with a chat, a small chat with the words. Okay, take the most simple word in Hebrew, shalom. You can say it in Arabic. How do you say shalom in Arabic?
Salam.
Salam, salame. And in Suret?
Shlama.
100% the same.
Okay?
Okay?
We're related, hey.
So this is
It
only
sounds so
one
simple.
example.
You know, I was in Israel a very long time ago. I had a friend, well, they still have a home there. They have a chocolate factory there, and they've just grown up in Ramallah. And she had the license, you know, that would allow her to travel anywhere. And, you know, we used wherever we went, and it was, I met so many Israelis, and then the men, I mean, especially the ones that had more of an Arabic look, and they start talking Arabic to you, and everybody feels, if there wasn't those titles, nobody would recognize the difference in each other. It was, there was a kindness, and there wasn't a lot of the tensions that are seen. That was not what I experienced. I understand that they exist, but I know that I enjoyed, she took me to various sides, which the Middle Eastern side, of course, to Jerusalem, which has all different sides. But she also took me to Haifa, I think, I don't want to.
Haifa, yes, Haifa.
Yes, to Haifa and different areas. And, you know, it just becomes more westernized, but then the people, it's okay. So they're more Western looking people that speak Arabic. And
Yeah, sure.
there was really just more of a sense of diversity than all this conflict. And then you feel like when you are reading about what's happening or viewing television, it looks almost like a different story than what you have really experienced. But they were born there, they were raised there, and they intermingled with people, and they were friends with people from different parts of Israel.
Yes. So, you know, our mission is to break the barriers between the cultures and to show how much we have to share with each other. And that's what I'm trying to do with both of sides in our context. I mean, the Jewish side, Jewish Israeli side, to show them how similar is the Assyrian, Chaldean, and all the people that used to live in northern Iraq and so on. How similar are they to us? And what I'm trying to show to the Assyrian, how similar we are to them. And one aspect of my job is to show through YouTube songs that I'm translating from Suret to Hebrew, and I'm writing the Suret lyrics and below the Hebrew, and people can see easily how similar it is. Okay.
I listened to one of those songs today. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
Really?
yes, I did. That's why I smiled when you said that, because I listened to it and it was very beautiful. Yeah, you have some, even whether you understand or not what is being said, there's just this very beautiful music and
Sure.
language.
So the music is opening the heart, okay? And you know, many people that call themselves Kurds here in Israel, they shocked when they listening to this music, say, hey, this is like us. This is our language. Say, yes, it is. This is our language. Let's deal with the Assyrians and not with the Kurds, because I can't communicate with Kurds because I don't know their languages. They have Sorani, Kurmanji, whatever. And those languages are Iranians. And our languages are Semitical, the Aramit, the Hebrew, even the Arabic. Okay? And this is one. And the other is to interview many people, mostly old, and to show people that how important it is to preserve our language. Because our language belongs not only to our community, it belongs to the whole Jewish people. Because until today, every day, we are using Aramaic text in our prayers every day, many times. Okay, when someone when someone passed away, we must pray in Aramit. When we have wedding, we must pray in Aramit, not in Hebrew. Okay. So it's presence in our culture so much. So I can say it's not belongs only to our community. It belongs to the whole Jewish people, and not belongs to the whole humanity.
Yes, yes, it does
Okay.
belong to the whole humanity, and there's such depth in it, and it's one of the few surviving languages, like ancient languages. So I'm so glad that you're doing your part. We're trying to do our part now, because I know that tomorrow you were just explaining something interesting about the Hebrew New Year. So tell us what tomorrow, the 18th, September 18th is, and how the Hebrew have 4 New Years. I'd love to hear a little bit about that. to learn something cultural.
Yes. So we use the Hebrew calendar. And tomorrow evening, you know, the time, that day is starting in the Jewish calendar is starting from the evening, not from the morning. Okay, so from tomorrow evening, we have the first of the months Tishrei. Tishrei is the first month. Okay, so we are celebrating 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, which in Suret is Resh Shata. Rosh Hashanah, Resha, Shata. So
Honestly,
simple.
I gotta say, it looks a little bit odd when you say these words in Surat. You keep catching me off guard because I'm still, even though we're talking about this, but I'm still not used to you being able to speak all 3 languages. And you say it so well, so you kind of, I'm like, he's just saying it just like we do.
Right. Okay. So our Reshet Shata is taking place 2 days, and the main idea around this holiday is that God is the king, and he judge every person on the planet, not only Jewish Jewish people. Okay, and this is the time that we must pray and even fast. I mean, 10 days after we have Yom Kippur. You know what is Yom Kippur? What is Kippur? It's like kapore, cover. It's to cover something, to cover the sins.
Okay.
Okay. Actually, we have 10 days from Rosh Hashanah, from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur to pray and to ask pardon from the people, from our friends, and then from God. Okay? So this is the main idea, to be judged and to save yourself and to save your people. And we have, the Jewish people has many ceremonies. So the ceremony of Rosh Hashanah is to eat some fruits and vegetables, and on each of them to wish something. Okay, so we are eating apple with honey and pomegranate and qara. How do you say zucchini? And lubia. Do you like lubia?
Yes, I do. Yes. I know you're making me very hungry now.
Okay, and many other things that it belongs to the Middle East. Actually, those vegetables. It's unique zucchini. It's not the common zucchini that you have in America. And what else? We are eating fish. You know why do we eat fish? Because fish symbolize they are becoming many, easy. And we are very small people that has a fantasy to be more and more. So we like to imitate the fish and to be more and more. So this is the idea behind the eating fish, and we have to eat fish every Saturday because we like to be great nation, though we are very small. We are an island of only 6 million Jews in Israel, in an ocean of 400 million Arabs, and more than 1 billion Muslims around us, that most of them doesn't like us too much. So we like to be more and more. And I wish you, the Chaldean and the Assyrian and the other communities, the other Assyrian communities, to be more and more, because we need you at the world.
Inshallah, from your mouth to the sky.
Khaled Allah.
Yes, because we similarly, we also, I mean, it's wonderful that you have found a home that it seems little, but I know when I was there, they called, the non-Arab part, they called it Little America. They said, even though it's small, but really it's Little America. And what we have experienced over the years, I mean, with all the persecution and oppression and even the genocide that has occurred. And now we feel that we have found our little place that although we are little in number in comparison, but we feel like we have found a safe haven here in Michigan and other parts of the United States, but mostly in Michigan. So yeah, so we have similar experiences in maybe different ways.
Yes,
in different lands. Yeah, we ended up in different lands in order to survive. But we have, with God's grace, we have been able to survive and flourish. Thank God.
Yeah. I would like, before the end, because the half of our passed already, I have a slogan. The slogan is very simple. I need you to help you. What I'm trying here is to make a huge historical change, but I work by myself. I have friends that helps me, but I need some fundraising. I don't know how. Every person that are watching us now or later, please think, how can you help the small Jewish Assyrian community in Israel to make the historical change? First, to throw out the title of Kurds, to revive the language of Aramit, and to cooperate with Assyrian communities all over the world. This is my mission. And I need some help from every person, Jewish or Assyrian, to help us.
Where can people, where would people visit to be able to contribute?
Well, I didn't get your question. How come they can contribute?
Yeah, how can people get involved in your work? Where do they visit?
The first way, the most simple way is to contact me through Facebook. Facebook, I'm well known, through Messenger, and I can give direction how come and how.
Okay, very good. Okay, and I can also post a link when we post this on our social media, and I can post a link to your contact.
I should thanks to at least two persons from your community in Detroit. The wonderful couple that I have met my last visit, Chris Salem and Rana Abu. They are so wonderful people and so kind, and they welcomed me so nicely. And we are in touch almost every week, and we are very deep talks together, and they are trying hard to find a way how to help me to fulfill my vision here in Israel. So thanks to them and many other Chaldeans that I have met in my visit. It was so easy to communicate with them in our language. It was amazing.
Thank you for mentioning their names. Yes, they're really great people, and they tried so hard to contribute to the community and to preserve the language. And they are very lucky to be connected with you on a regular basis, because I'm sure they're learning a lot. They're young, beautiful people that I think when we connect to people that are, like in your case, really, you're a teacher. You're teaching about a lot of things that we need to be aware of. And part of the way to learn is to continue connection through people that are active, yes, and that are that active. So they're very smart to be connected to you. So thank you so much for coming on today. From Israel, blessings to you and your loved ones. And we will connect, I hope, soon when we see more of your work transpire, which I'm sure it will, but we will also stay in contact. Okay?
Yes, thank a lot, Wim and Crystal, that worked very hard to make this appointment. And Resha Tabricha.
مع السلامة. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye bye. Ciao.